welcome to Go Southern Alberta. My name is Leanne Evans, and coming up on today's show, I'll be joined by Alex and Becky. They are the owners and chefs out at Camp Cookhouse and General Store in Elk Water, and they are going to be showing me how to cook a special meal for that special someone. Now, February is a month of love, so it's a great time to be cooking for someone that you love. Now, we have that and much more coming up on Go Southern Alberta.
And it's such a team atmosphere that if one person's missing, the whole thing can fall apart. We can't perform certain things without that athlete. So it's really a team environment unlike anything else.
Wellness Wednesday is offered on the third Wednesday of every month at 10 o'clock. We have a different session every month, and we try to focus on areas of interest to seniors or family members or professionals.
Well, welcome back to Go Southern Alberta, and as I mentioned earlier, I am learning all about how to cook for that special someone. It is a month of love in February, and now I'm joined by Alex. He is one of the cooks at Camp Cookhouse and General Store out in Elk Water. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, no, it was a pleasure. So what I want to sell is kind of an idea of what a salad can be at this time of the year. So it's using, as local as possible. Get a recipe, great, but don't let the recipe necessarily dictate what you're going to have. Get what's really nice. So, if the oranges are kind of crappy, don't get oranges, get nice citrus. So we're making a beet and citrus salad. So what we have, some beets, really, really simply boiled, some salt, some vinegar, water. Use aromats that you like. We have some star anise, a little bit of cinnamon, black pepper, clove. This time of the year, the beets can be a little bit more starchy and need a little bit more help, so we add a little bit of sugar as well. So what we have here is the beets, and what I'm going to do is, for a little bit of contrast, we want to warm the beets up a little bit. Okay. So I trimmed the beets. So you got them here.
Now, we're talking about eating local, so
yeah.
Why is it so important to stay with your local food?
Well, generally you can get better food that hasn't traveled very, very far. And it's nice to stimulate your local economy, too. So, and what we have here from cleaning the beets, we had a bunch of beet scraps. So I took some of the cooking liquid and the scraps, just pureed it for a little bit more body. We're going to use that to warm up our beets. While those are warming up, we can start plating. So, and the idea here is, on Valentine's Day, you don't really want to spend a ton of time in the kitchen, right? So This is really great because you can have everything done ahead of time, and then you can spend your time
with that love
on the date, not upsetting the person that you're with.
Exactly.
So, we got citrus in a couple of different ways. If you haven't cut rounds very nicely, cut them into segments. Let the food kind of dictate how it's going to look.
All right.
So, and again, it's not a hot beet salad. We want to warm them up just a little bit. So, it should be nice and warm.
All right.
And what we're going to do.
So we got the beets and we got our citrus here.
And a little bit of the cooking liquid to kind of act as, because there's acid in it, acts as a little bit of a vinaigrette. And a lot of the stuff that you have here has acidity to it. So you don't really need an astringent vinaigrette by any means. Everything's quite bright already.
Yes. It's not just a dull salad that we're making here.
So we have the main components, and now add a couple of garnishes. So we have some feta. It's going to add a really nice brininess, a nice saltiness. Ricotta is really nice here. Again, get nice cheese. If you can't find a nice feta, find something else that's nice, because if you start with nice ingredients, you're
something a little different too.
Yeah. So in here, these are fun. This is going to give the salad a little bit of texture. These are flax chips.
Okay.
So don't make these at home. Come to the restaurant and let us make these for you, because these take way too much time to make.
Okay.
But in this salad, some nice almonds, nice hazelnuts, just lightly toasted. You get that same kind of texture, and you're not blooming and dehydrating and deep frying something. It takes way too much time. So Just add a few of these. And something that works really, really nice with beets and with citrus, just a couple of leaves of mint. And again, like if the mint, if you're smelling the mint and the mint isn't very nice, don't get the mint. Get some basil, get some parsley.
Yeah, so these are all, you know, you can change all of these
Yeah.
for something different.
Yeah, again, let the store and let farmers dictate the food that you're going to make. Don't be so dead set on a recipe that you don't want to try something, because if you go to a store and something jumps out at you wherever, you know, try and cook with it.
Yeah.
And mess it up. I mess food up all the time, and that's part of learning. And the more you're okay with messing stuff up, the more diverse, and you know, eventually something's gonna stick. So.
Now, why do you like having this salad instead of a, you know, like I was saying off camera, I'm more of a cut some lettuce up and throw some croutons on it. Why is this one so much more exciting?
Well, this is fun. Again, going back to, you have a lot of contrasted textures, which I guess you get with your delicious croutons. But I mean, even like I said at the restaurant, we try and go as local as possible. So even in greenhouses here right now, we can't really get lettuce. I don't think, and I think something that we're dealing with right now is a lot of people feel that you know, a salad is in this neat little box, and it has to be, you know, lettuce dressed with this, with a little bit of this and that. And a salad could really be, I mean, there's such a loose definition of what a salad could be, hot or cold, whatever you're using. I think this is just a nice mix of some vegetables and some nice cheese, and a great way to start a meal with somebody that you love. Or even somebody that you just like, that you want to hang out with because Valentine's Day didn't pan out the way you thought it would, and here we are again.
You never know how it's going to happen,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But at least you have some delicious food to start it off with, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us today.
problem.
We'll be back later on in the show. I'll be talking to Becky. She was actually on Top Chef Canada, so stay tuned. We have that coming up in the show. But first, let's take a look at what else is coming up on Go Southern Alberta.
Well, this is a pilot project for us, and there's various events taking place. So there'll be some hands-on time, some demo time, as well as some formal presentations.
Well, welcome back to the show. I am now joined here with Becky. She is also a chef and owner at the Camp Cookhouse and General Store out in Elk Water. She was also a contestant on season 3 of Top Chef. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, you're welcome.
Now, I have to ask, what was it like being on Top Chef?
It was an experience that I'm glad I did. It was pretty intense at times, and it was fun a lot, and then it wasn't so fun. So then we all know what happened on old episode 8 or 9 or whatever. I walked out, so there it is.
Now, before you were on Top Chef, you were a chef in Toronto. Mm-hmm. So tell me about your experience out there.
Oh, Toronto. Big city, very different palates, very rough and tumble world, let's say. It's kind of dog eat dog in terms of big city, so you have to work really hard and you don't get paid a whole lot. But at times it's very fun. Mm-hmm. But not a lasting, not something I'd want to do for the rest of my life. So here we are.
Now, did you learn a whole lot being actually on Top Chef?
No, I didn't learn. I mean, maybe about myself, but not in terms of or that world, let's say, that world of television cooking, but not in terms of like how I cook or techniques or any of that jazz. But no.
Well, it was a joy watching you on Top Chef. So now we're here actually cooking with you. So now we're going to be making a dessert. So tell me about what we're making here.
So we're making something that is it's very simple, but hinges a lot on a couple of very easy techniques and kind of easy flavor combinations. So we're making what I would call a crostata. It's an Italian word. In English, you'd call it like a free-form tart. So you don't want to use so many words. So let's say crostata.
All right. So what's the first thing that we have to do?
We need to something that I've already done, which is I made a pie dough. You could make pie dough, you could buy from puff pastry if you want, really easy. And this looks very tiny because we're making a single serving, that's the point.
Yeah, I see you also got your little tiny rolling pin.
And I have the tiniest rolling pin on the planet for this. So all you have to do is roll it out pretty thin because it's tiny, so.
Rolled out the dough. What's next?
We rolled out the dough. These are our apples. So this is 3 different types of apples, but it's kind of irrelevant. It's Granny Smiths, Galas, and Ambrosias. So I cooked these down a bit because if I were to do it raw, they wouldn't cook. They would be like raw apples still.
Okay.
So these just got cooked in a really, really high heat with some sugar, just the apples, and that's pretty much it. Touch of salt because everything needs salt. Until they get a little soft and they get a little dry. Toss a little flour at the end. That's it.
Okay. So we just put about 2.
It depends on the size of the guy that you're making, but you want to leave about that much of a rim. You need to be able to pick it up and fold it.
All right.
So it's kind of like, you know, it's okay if you make a mistake. Whatever.
It's personal.
Yeah,
right.
You know, optional. Put a little fanned apple on the top. It just kind of adds like a little finish, but you don't have to.
I can promise you, my apple would not look like that. But
So now we're just like picking up the dough and folding it and pinching it, and you'll just do that all the way around. And you're gonna feel for a second like you're messing it up because it looks right now. You're like, oh, it's not gonna close, right? But don't worry. Don't worry. So kind of pinch, pinch, pinch.
so it looks like a little bowl, kind of.
And then you're gonna bring it in and you just mush down a bit. And that's
All right.
fine. A little egg wash, egg yolk, cream, touch of sugar.
Okay. So in there is just egg yolk and sugar.
And a little bit of cream or milk if you want, if you don't want to go crazy on the cream.
Okay.
Plain sugar, use turbinado if you want. This is an elaborate spice blend that I really like to use. Just use cinnamon or allspice or whatever you want, but this is 7 different spices, which if I try to remember right now, I'll probably just mess it up. But it makes a really fun aromatic mix.
Okay.
Look at the smell.
Ooh, yeah, that does smell good.
Yeah, so let's see if I can remember it really fast. Cinnamon, allspice, star anise, clove, caraway, black pepper, 2 more, nutmeg, and I'm missing one.
One more.
Did I say cinnamon? I must have. That was the first one.
Well, we can put more
It's
cinnamon
a
in
lot.
there.
Yeah, put some. So
Yeah.
don't get that complicated, but
Yeah.
on a little parchment. This is gonna bake in a fairly high oven, like 375, 400,
Okay.
because it's so small. Convection's better if you have it. If not, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Until it's golden. For plating, we've got our sour cream.
Okay.
So, I mean, you can dollop it or whatever, but I'll do a fancy kind of, a bit of a fancy thing here. Very easy to do. But
Yeah.
don't hesitate. 'Cause you gotta go for it. The tart. Our whiskey caramel. So you kind of, people love caramel. Again, this is the sweet. So this is why you didn't need any sugar in that cream.
Okay.
And then just some peanuts. Add some crunch. They're salted peanuts, very important. Salt is important in desserts.
To get that salty, sweet tooth.
Balance it out.
Yep.
Little salted toasted peanuts.
Well, that looks delicious.
Yeah,
I must say.
pretty
Now,
lovely.
You cook alongside your boyfriend.
Yep.
How is that?
For us, it shocks most people because most people, you work with your partner. What? But for us, it was always very. I mean, we started off as coworkers.
Yeah.
And then it was pretty apparent fairly early on in meeting each other that it was going to excel beyond that. But before we did start dating, we worked together very well. So it's kind of when people say we finish each other's sentences. It's like that, except we finish each other's dishes. And it's like people, it's not really that sweet. It's just like a good working relationship, and then we happen to go home to the same place at the end of the night. So really, where he He excels in a number of things that I'm not so good at. He's great at plating, wonderful at making very complicated, fancy dishes. I'm not so much. I'm really good at making really good food, really good flavor combinations. I think about how it tastes first before I think about how it looks. Whereas he's the other way around. So when we cook together side by side, it works out very well. And then after 4 years or so, we usually don't even have to talk to each other, which also really freaks people out because most of the time there's so much yelling in a kitchen. Like you're just constantly yelling and talking, and we'll just be silent, but just making so much food because that's the point we're at now. 24/7.
There you go. So we learned from a couple how to cook for a couple.
Exactly.
So thank you so much for joining us today
Thank you.
and showing us how to make these delicious dishes.
Try them out, folks. Get brave.
There you go. Get brave.
Get brave.
Well, thank you so much. We have so much more coming up on Go Southern Alberta, so stay tuned right here on Shaw TV. Well, that wraps up our show for today. Big thank you to Alex and Becky for showing me how to cook. I can't say I'm a very big cook, so I'm going to go home and try out these dishes. An apple crostata and a beet salad. If you want more information on the Camp Cookhouse, they are on Facebook at Camp Cookhouse and General Store. If you missed anything that we are covering, we are on Facebook at Shaw TV Medicine Hat, also on Twitter at Shaw TV The Hat. I got some delicious food to try out here, so I'll see you later. Now I have some delicious food to I screwed up again.